Awesome. Welcome, everybody. My name is Richie Kroonenberg. I'm on the Innovation Depot team. It's funny how there's one day a month where you have to fight for a parking spot here, and it's on a day like today. But appreciate you all coming out again loyally, as always, to the Birmingham AI Meetup. I'm going to keep this really short. I want to talk about our Voltage program really quick. So as many of you might be vibe coding right now, want to talk to you about our program where we can help you validate those ideas that you're vibe coding. So, you might be building something, but we want to make sure you build something for, people that they're actually going to use it and actually going to pay for it. So this program is a 5-week program. We meet on Saturday mornings, 4 Saturday mornings and 2 Wednesday evenings, where we do customer discovery, market research, prototyping, work on your messaging and positioning, and help you get to that next level. So if you have any questions about that, please come see me at the end. Our application's closed this Sunday. We hope to see some of you apply and join this awesome program. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Richie. Whose time is it? First time to the depot. First time to Innovation Depot. Okay, a few hands. We'll welcome. I'm William Glass. I'm the new director for Birmingham AI, so really excited to have you all here. This is the biggest turnout. We say this every meeting, but as you can see, we were standing room only last time and we're standing room only again. We do have an overflow space, so if you would prefer not to be on your feet for the next 60 minutes, you can go to the overflow room, which is in the training room in the atrium where you came in. We can help direct you that way. So if you would like to sit, there is an opportunity to do that. We've got it live streamed. So first off, thanks for coming. Excited for y'all to be here. So, we know why everyone's here today. It's for the free pizza, right? No, it's because of stuff like this. ChatGPT 5 just rolled out. Who's played around with it? Show of hands. Okay, most of the room. Yeah, there's some good things, some things that don't work quite as well. But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the updates that are happening in the industry, and we're going to do a deep dive into N8N. Why everyone's here. So everybody knows who this is, Mr. Gates. He said that AI is on the same level of the personal computer in terms of changing the way that technology, the world runs. And that's why everybody's in this room today, right? There's only a few technologies that drastically change everything in society and how we're run. And AI is one of them. And Birmingham AI, if you're not familiar, our mission is to accelerate the adoption of AI for all here in the city. And that's what we're really excited to do through these meetups. And we couldn't do it without our awesome partners and sponsors. So I want to introduce Lee from Keesis to say a few words. Here you go, Lee.
All right, hey everybody. I'm Lee Daniel. I'm the CTO at Keesis. We are a custom engineering company in Birmingham. We've been here for 18 years. We've got about 35 folks working for us. Everybody lives and works in the area with you, so we're very excited to be the sponsor of this kind of event. Anything that raises up Birmingham, helps everybody do a little better, grow the city, grow the state. That's exactly who we are and what we want to be about. So again, we've got engineering, DevOps, AI services, all kinds of things to kind of help you bring those ideas from the kind of starting and the vibe coding to something that's more marketable or help you just grow your business and help you with the problem of the day. So next slide. So again, custom engineering, cloud architecture, AI strategy and implementation. I think a lot of you have probably experienced with your AI journey that having good data is the whole deal. Having good context is really what gets you where you want to go. If you're having trouble with that, if you need a little help, a few more ideas, a little better strategy, that is absolutely where we want to help out. Or any of the infrastructure around that, help us out. We can definitely help you. All right. A little more about us, just so you kind of have an idea of what the depth of knowledge is that we're bringing to this space and really what we're kind of want to be able to share with the community. We have been doing AI. Me personally, I have a patent in AI going back 20 years ago. So we've been doing AI before AI was a thing. way before ChatGPT existed, all that sort of stuff. So a lot of deep knowledge in the organization. We are killing our own SaaS. So our own SaaS spend, we're vibe coding our way out of it for simple things that we can get rid of. So we can help you with that. And automation, right? Just all the mundane things that no one wants to sit here and do. We're doing that with N8N and other tools all the time. Last slide. And this is us. This is our team. We have our birthday. We turn 18 this month. We'll have a birthday party soon. Be looking for that. Everyone's invited. If you need to get a hold of me, there's my email address. And we're happy to talk to anybody that's just trying to help Birmingham grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lee. Awesome. Thank you, Lee. Thanks, Keese's team. And if anybody is interested in supporting our mission about sponsorship, there's always opportunities to do that, to help us do this great recording, put on this event, and feed everybody in the room. Cool. So we got a couple announcements. First, we had our swagathon this morning, so thank you to everybody who participated. A little round of applause for those folks. We are working on some new logo designs, some new apparel, some new swag so that we can rock Birmingham AI. It will announce the winners in September, but just to give you an idea of what some of the things folks, oh man, we got to hit refresh. Never mind. All right, well, there was a bunch of slides on stuff, but we're going to skip it. You'll find out in September what the designs were, but there's some really good ones, some fun ones. You'll see that. We are expanding. As you can tell, this room doesn't expand, but we can start doing more of these. And so we are launching 2 new breakouts that are coming up in the next month. The first is finance. So if you are working financial services, fintech, if you are a finance function, wealth management, insurance, this meetup is for you. We're getting those folks to go deeper into understanding what are the tools, what are the use cases, and how do you use AI in the finance context. So definitely sign up for this. It's going to be a smaller group to start with. So check it out. We also have our nonprofit breakout, and we have our first speaker, Mark Gibson. Awesome guy. We've had to hear him talk. He's got some really great use cases on how nonprofits can use AI to accelerate their mission. So if you work in the nonprofit space, please sign up. We're really excited to get a group of folks doing good here in the city to start adopting more AI. And then we just have our general meetups. So I'll show this slide again later, but if you'd like to go ahead and sign up for our engineering breakout. So if you're an engineer and you want to follow along with coding, that is next Wednesday. We have our finance breakout the Wednesday following. Our general meetup for September will be September 10th, and then that nonprofit first meetup will be September 16th. So you will also get an email tomorrow that has the links to these as well, but if you want to go ahead and sign up, I'll give you all a second to do that. All right. Updates. Will, you want to kick us off on updates?
I do.
All right.
I got a mic. I don't need that one. Thank you so much. Let's give William a round of applause. That was his first ever meeting kickoff, wasn't it? That's another round of applause. Let's give it to him. There we go. Well, awesome. I was just talking with someone outside, and what we were talking about was just how there's so much AI content online that you could go and spend the next month watching videos of some of the stuff we're going to cover today. But what really makes this special is that we all come in person into a room and do this together. So thank you all for coming here. That's what makes Birmingham AI special. We get to talk about the industries we care about, the companies that we work in, the place that we live. And so we're excited to continue to do this. My job today is to talk about updates for a few minutes. And as William alluded to, we're going to start with OpenAI's new GPT-5. So let me see the hands up again. I couldn't see it good last time. Who's used GPT-5? What are the vibes? What do we think? Meh. Okay. Interesting. Anybody a fan? Anybody hell yeah? Okay, we got a couple people. Great for coding. I've heard some of that as well. This was an interesting release. And something Sam did was say, I'm just going to kill all your old models off. And very quickly, there was a problem here, which is, and this is just like a really interesting point, is that some people had started to like create these workflows, create these agents, or really just have conversations with some of their AI's systems on ChatGPT, and it responded in certain ways to them, and they had come to expect that type of a conversation back and forth. And when Sam Altman said, I'm going to just kill all the old models, many people felt like they lost a friend, which is like interesting and scary, but also like just something we should like be aware of and be thinking about. And so he tweeted out and was like, this is interesting. We didn't really expect this to happen, and we should have been a little more thoughtful about how we get rid of old models if they perform in a certain way. And then also we need to set like the right boundaries when we're talking with AI systems. Sam didn't stop there. He also killed the model picker. So did anybody experience this? We've been talking for the past 2 years about how there are so many different model pickers when you go into ChatGPT. Oftentimes you might not even see it, but if you go into ChatGPT up in the top, there's a little drop down that you click and you could select which model to talk to. Something we've been saying over the past 6 months is, hey, use the O3 model. Don't just stay on this 4.0 model. The O3 model is going to do reasoning for you. You're going to get better output. Sam finally said, it's done. I'm killing it. And now the great release with ChatGPT 5 was that based on your query, based on the question or the thing you asked about, it was going to choose the right model to use. If you ask it a simple question, it will give you a quick response. If you ask a more complex question, it's going to think longer about it. That's something Austin and I have also been saying, is that this is coming. There's going to be a day where you don't have to select all these models, but people weren't ready for it and people got all upset about it. And so both of these are back now. You can have access to your old models and you can use the model picker as well. We think though that like the future is a model pickerless future, where you just send in your prompt and then it's going to choose the best model to use. Of course, for power users, you might be able to select, I want to spend more time thinking about this, etc. So get used to this future, but also continue to share your feedback, because companies listen when enough people share that feedback. So GPT-5 came out. That was the big headline over the last 30 days. Sam had spent a lot of time hyping it, and that hype just didn't really live up to users' expectations. And so just wasn't seen as a good moment. The 24 hours after the release came out, the coordination layer that would choose the right model wasn't working well, and so it would choose the wrong model and people were getting bad output. It was a botched release. They've stabilized some of this and again have gone back on the model picker. And so right now I still get pretty good output with GPT-5. You can select the thinking mode and have it think longer for you, and you don't have to rely on the coordination layer choosing that for you. What else happened? Well, we just talked about GPT-5. OpenAI also put out a couple open models. These were the biggest open models that they've ever put out, and finally they said that it could run, one of the models could run on a laptop, one of them could run on a phone. You would have to have a pretty powerful phone to run this model. But it does just speak to the future. The future of AI has models that are running locally on every device, right? People would have thought it would be crazy that we would have these small devices that could have this much computing power today. In the future, the models are going to get more performant. We're going to get better hardware that lets us run models on our phone. What else happened? Anthropic and Claude, they released their latest versions of their models as well. This was a smaller step change compared to OpenAI coming out with, going from GPT-4 to GPT-5. Claude released Opus 4.1 from 4, and so this is their best model. They also expanded the context window of Sonnet to 1 million tokens. What that means is you can just send it a lot of stuff. For developers, for people working with long research papers, this has been really helpful when you have larger context windows. And previously, really only the Google Gemini models could handle that much data. Grok came out with Grok Heavy right before the last meetup, but I still included it again in here. And then they came out with a new image generation mode. So the battle of the top players, I'm not even talking about Meta, who's gone after engineers with $100 million offers, and Gemini as well. All of the players are really engaged in this battle, and everyone's developing their models as quickly as they can. And of course, there is a major update with Apple Intelligence. Wait, Apple didn't do anything this month? Okay, Apple didn't do anything this month. So we're still waiting on that one. Y'all let me know when it comes. But a new battle is also brewing, and that is with AI browsers. Has anybody started to use an AI browser? Hands up, we can see them. Well, Perplexity has released an AI browser called Comet, and so that's one of them. Here is what it looks like, and it is a browser where you can do everything you can normally do, and then up in the top right, there's an assistant. There's another browser out there called Dia, and this is what it looks like when you expand the assistant, and so it instantly gets context about the web page that you're on, what's happening there. It can even like read the text and clean it up for you and then reinsert it back in. If you're interested in testing one of these out, I think they're both on waitlist, but you can get an invite from someone who already has access. Dia seems to do better with reading context from the web pages and handling it well, whereas Comet seems to do better with agentic function. So what do I mean with that? Comet could actually like scroll through a number of pages and click links and go and search your email for some email context that you can't find. Dia is better if you just wanted to like look at your calendar and to quickly summarize what's on your calendar for the coming week. So we're going to be talking more about these in the future. I anticipate we'll have a meeting that's focused on this. The question we're asking is, when are we going to get a ChatGPT or Claude browser? They're working on the technology that underlies these systems. If you use the agent mode in ChatGPT, it will go like browse a website for you. You just don't have control over it. These browsers are coming. Google's going to AIify their browser as well. So a lot happened this last month. This is something we like to show just to remind people that it's still early. If you look at this chart and the percent of US adults who've ever used ChatGPT, over the past 2 years, the numbers have increased. So from 18% to 34%. And this is in March of this year, so we can assume it's continued to go up. So it's increasing, but we're still only at 34%. So we want to tell you all, if you're in this room, you have the opportunity to be ahead. You have the opportunity to help Birmingham succeed in the AI era, but it's time to take action. So let's take action. One way we're taking action is by doing the engineering breakout. I just wanted to highlight this again for any of my fellow nerds in the room. This will be next Wednesday at 11:30, and we have two great developers, Praise and Pax, coming, and they're going to be talking about how that they took an application that had no AI in it, and they made it AI first. What do I mean by that? Well, there were actions inside that application that the user had to fill out, and maybe it took them 15 minutes for the user to do. Well, what they said is, hey, can we go ahead and get that data, and then can AI fill it out for the user? And they've done that now. They've got a little chat window where the user can say, hey, can you go fill this out for me? And it will go and complete the actions for the users. This is going to be very technical, so it's really meant for engineers. But if you're someone who's interested in doing that inside your company, your product, come join us next week. it's sold out, but you never know what might happen if you join the wait list. So we might release the tickets. All right, thank you. That's what's happened over the past 30 days. I'm going to turn it over to Austin. Let's flip it. Yeah.
Who's here for the first time at a Birmingham AI meeting? All right, cool. Thank you all for being here. So we've been doing this for a little over 2 years now, and we just want every meeting to be our best meeting. And so far, that is true every time. And that's because, yeah, Will and I get up here, and I think we deliver great content, but the community keeps showing up. We've never advertised this, so you're here because somebody told you about it, which we think is pretty cool. So thank you. I have been wanting to do an AI agent talk for probably the last 6 months. And just the timing hasn't felt right. And over the last month, 15 people sort of independently asked me about this tool called N8N, which is an AI workflow automation agent tool. And I just thought, okay, fine, I'll talk about this, all right? And so I'm going to show you a little bit about this tool today, but I also want you to understand more broadly what's going on with AI agents, because this is one of many tools, okay? And in fact, a lot of the tools you're already using have agents working in the background, even if you haven't realized it. So I want to give you a bit of a framework for understanding what's going on, but then I also do want to talk about the tool, because it's one of these things that if we can get more people in Birmingham using this at a high level, it will have a very meaningful impact on the results we're getting at our organizations. All right, so just a reminder, this is OpenAI's 5 levels of AI maturity. And this is a chart that I put together based on that. And autonomous agents is this 3rd level, and it's a maturity level that we've started, but we certainly haven't completed yet. All right, and you'll see that as we talk through this. There are lots of agents out in the world, and some of them we've talked about here. So there are research agents. We've talked about deep research here, Manus, Perplexity. These are all tools where you can go and do complex research around a topic. It's not just Google giving you the links, it's someone sitting down and helping you write a research paper on something that you care about, okay? So those are agents. There are a lot of software agents that are out in the world, so people are using things like Cursor, Replit, Claude Code, okay? These are tools that software developers are using that act as basically programmers that work with them to solve problems. And then there are these set of automation tools, okay? That some of them have AI things baked into them, some kind of agent workflows, but none of these are really AI-first tools. I put Salesforce on there. Salesforce is a CRM system, but within systems like that, there is lots of workflow automation. It's a big part of what those systems are for, okay? But these are all systems that grew up kind of before the era that we're in now. So before I move on, I want to tell you what I think an agent is. There's one thing that we stress in these meetups, whether we're talking about artificial general intelligence or these different topics. If you come to one of these meetings, we would expect you sort of be able to talk intelligently about one of these topics. So if someone said, what is AGI? Well, it'd be good to have an opinion about that. Well, what is an agent? Okay, we'd like you to have a good framework for that too. So an agent is a piece of software that you can give a goal to, and it figures out what it needs to do to solve that problem somewhat independently of you, and it has access to tools. So for example, the deep research has access to a browser, right? It puts together a plan for how it's going to go and search the internet, right? And then based on the results it gets, it asks itself, like, do I need to keep looking? Is this research paper good, right? So it's like a person that's out doing work, all right? This is an agent. And so 2025, all the headlines are like, 2025 is the year of agents. This started last fall. And people keep just banging on this drum. And I would say this is mostly false, okay? but not in the way you might expect, right? Was 1993 the year of the internet, right? I mean, the internet was starting to grow, but by all accounts, the internet wasn't adding a tremendous amount of value in 1993. It sort of took some time. That's where we are with agents, all right? So you have people on the other side of this. Gary Marcus is a well-known player hater in this space. He's kind of the guy who's always poo-pooing on everything. So he wrote this blog post a couple weeks ago that basically said this is all a dud. He's actually a little more harsh than this. His opinion is this is all just sort of nonsense and people need to go find something else to talk about, kind of. But I do want to contextualize this a little bit because here's what's going on in the background. So one way that we think about the capability of agents, almost like you would think about a person, is how long can they go work independently before they need your help? So agents, for a while now, have been able to solve small problems, but the time horizon that they have been able to work on is growing in a way that is very exponential right now. So the new GPT-5 model, people say it's a good coding model. Part of why it's a good coding model is that it can do long-running tasks and not get lost, right? So I want to refactor an entire code base, and right, that's an important aspect of what makes a good agent. This is not, we don't seem to be hitting a wall here, okay? So this is for software tasks, but this is a really interesting paper, by the way. If you're here, you're going to get a copy of the presentation, and I put links on here to all the background materials here. So this is a really interesting article about this kind of information across lots of different domains that might be worth reading. The other thing that's holding agents back, and I thought this was the most interesting slide to me in the GPT-5 release, is that we know that these models hallucinate. They confidently make up stuff, right? If they don't know the answer, they'll just tell you something as if it's absolutely true. So they spent a lot of time on this in GPT-5, and you can see on these benchmarks, they've improved hallucination rates dramatically, okay? An agent is going to go do lots of different tasks, right? It's not just like one query. It's like us having a back and forth 100 times. So if there's a small error rate, and we compound it over many, many, many conversations, it can be a big problem, okay? And so getting this number as close to 0 as possible is really important to make these systems work, all right? So this is improving. So time horizon's improving a lot. The hallucination rate is improving a lot. And I think this is a reason to be optimistic about where these technologies are headed, okay? So Gary Marcus will move the goalpost in 12 months and have some reason to poo-poo on them again. But I'm optimistic about where we're headed, okay? So part of our mission here for the city of Birmingham is to help AI be a net job creator. Why is this slide randomly sliding in here, okay? The things that are going to disrupt people's jobs will be AI agents, okay? You can think of a really competent AI agent as somebody you could hire to do a job, right? And they're going to start competing with humans on certain things. And so understanding how these systems work, maybe how to build them or how to use them or how to manage them, okay, is an important part, we think, of people's journey in being valuable in this next period, all right? Instead of seeing this as something that's threatening you, maybe this is something that you can learn about and be a part of, okay? This was from June. If you're at our June meeting, we did a whole talk on this. This is not meant to be scary, and I don't necessarily even believe this, okay? But the people that run these labs believe this, okay? I don't think they're saying this just to talk their own book of business, all right? So we put slides like this up here, not to freak people out, just that everyone can sort of form an opinion on this. Do you think this is true? Why or why not? If you think this could be true, what are you doing to think about your role, your organization, how you prepare for this, all right? what's happening over the next 5 years with agents is problems that are labor problems today, where humans do things, are going to be compute problems. In the same way that problems 100 years ago that were physical human problems became machine problems, right? So it's like the Industrial Revolution in that sense, but for people that work in front of computers. Who here works in front of a computer? Right. So this is the issue that we're bumping up against here. Aaron Levy's the CEO of Box, and he's just saying, listen, we think there's a lot of software in the world, but we actually haven't even gotten started. Think of all the things that we sit down and do as humans that require a lot of thought, a lot of work, a lot of knowledge work. All of that's probably going to get eaten by software, or at least a good portion of it, okay? He's saying this in the context of, wow, we're going to go make a lot of money, which I think is true for the right organizations, okay? All right, so this is N8N. This is ostensibly the topic for the day, but I wanted to give a little lead in. Who here has used a tool like Zapier before? Just trying to get some context, okay? Who here has used N8N? Just curious, okay, probably the same people. The same kind of nerds that like one, like the other. So these are workflow automation tools. And what that means is data comes in, these tools do something with it, and they connect all these different systems. So I get an email from somebody, this system picks it up and looks at it, reads it, decides what to do with it, right? Just as an example, okay? All of the workflow automation tools that are very popular right now are things that were built within the last 10 years, okay? And what makes N8N different is it was built in the last 12 months. And so everything about it is sort of designed for this AI era, okay? And let's look at what it does. So I just built an extremely basic thing to kind of show you how this is put together. And the scenario here is we have a Net Promoter Score survey that we run, okay? A new record comes in. I want to look at the feedback the person gave me and figure out what category it should go in, and I've sort of laid out a couple of categories. And then Net Promoter Score, you know, it's from 1 to 10, and 9 to 10 are promoters, and passives and detractors, all this. So I just want to do some very basic kind of figure out what these things are and update the records. And what I've also asked it to do is, if this is a promoter, like someone who likes our product, send them an email. And I've given it basically no instructions on how to do that, but just send them an email, okay? And then update the records and do all the logs and this and that, okay? So, so what's different about this tool from other tools is this thing that's sitting in the middle right here that says AI agents, all right? A lot of workflows historically are extremely linear. You're sort of saying all the steps that are going to happen. And there's aspects of that with this workflow. But what the AI agent does differently, just like a human would do, is you give it access to lots of different tools, and it decides how to use them, right? So maybe it has access to your calendar, your email, your CRM system, and it can decide to use those tools based on what it thinks it needs to do. It's like, oh, I need to go look in the CRM system and grab some records. So instead of having to say, I need you to do this, 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 and this, if you go back to the definition, I'm going to give you a goal. You're going to decide what you need to do. You have the tools to do it, okay? And then you go and accomplish the task. All right, this is a very simple version of this. I only have one tool, one that goes and writes an email, but it could have very, very many. All right? So let me show you how this gets put together. The recipe here is really simple. Something kicks off one of these workflows. Okay? In this case, a new survey comes in. All right? For our AI agent, we have to connect it to a brain. And that's any one of these AI models. ChatGPT has, I guess just GPT has tons of models. Anthropic has tons of models. Google has tons of models, okay? So we got to attach it to one of the brains, and we got to tell it what to do, Just give it some instructions and tell it what tools it has access to, that kind of thing. And then connect all the tools to it. And then this one is going to be new, and we're going to spend some time on what I mean here. But we want to create evaluations to know if the thing is performing in the way we want. All right? We do this with people too. You know, they give us some work back, we look at it, we talk about it, we give feedback. So how do you do that with AI models, right? And as far as I'm concerned, this fifth thing is really, for me, what makes these tools, this new tool, very interesting, okay? And we'll look at that. All right, so here's what this looks like in this particular example. So here's the trigger, new survey data comes in, all right? We're gonna choose a brain. Now here, there's a tool that I'm gonna recommend to people called Open Router, all right? And Open Router looks like this. It's one platform that you sign into, and it has a way to sign in from here to any of the different providers you have. So in mine, like I've signed into OpenAI, I've signed into Anthropic, I've signed into Gemini, okay? So what that means is when I'm here using this tool, I don't have to create 50 different connections. I just connect to Open Router, and I can easily pick from all of these different models. And that kind of looks like this, right? So N8N, I just have this enormous list of things now that I can pick from. And this is just OpenAI stuff, but if I kept scrolling here, you'd see everything, okay? This simplifies using this tool quite a bit, all right? Then you're gonna write instructions. So I kind of have two different things going on here. One is simply what you're gonna do for the categorization and the email sending and all of that. When I work with organizations, the instructions for this kind of thing can be extremely long and detailed, okay? And that's not so much a how-to kind of detailed, it's more about context, right? If we're doing something that's much more complicated, it's not that they need directions, they just need to understand all the information so they can make good decisions, all right? N8N does a nice job too of letting you be very clear about what the model is going to output, okay? I don't want you to generate a whole bunch of noise. I'd like you to generate a nice clean thing where you tell me what category it's in, one of these two things, and what Net Promoter Score bucket it's in, one of these three things, all right? When you're talking with ChatGPT, you kind of don't know what's going to come back, right? That can be fun, right? And if it's a conversation, it doesn't really matter, but we're trying to do something programmatically. We'd like it to kind of come through the same every single time, okay? So those are the instructions that are in here. All right, then we need to connect the tools. So this is an email agent. I actually created another one of these, right, that's like its own agent in itself that just handles emails. This is a huge plus with these tools. If you try to do too much in a single agent, it can get overwhelmed. These models are smart, but if they have too many jobs to do, they can get a little confused. I'm like, listen, you're the categorizer, you're the email person, right? You can see how this works, where they all have clear instructions. And then this email agent is just something that can be called by the main agent. Oh, I need to send an email. Let me go talk to this person, okay? All right, cool. All right, so we didn't talk about evaluations. That's going to be the next slide. But I just wanted you to see how the recipe fits in to what's going on here. So when you sign into N8N, you can create a trigger. And there's a couple other options that are, I think, fairly self-explanatory. And then you're going to create one of these AI agents. That gets you right to where we are here, okay? This is the slide we just looked at. But again, it's just context for why the evaluations matter. The question we have about this particular flow is, does it work? Right? I've asked it to do a thing. Does it do the thing I asked? How do we know, right? Does it categorize things well? Does it send the email at the appropriate times? Does it send a good email? I have tons of different AI models to pick. Some are expensive, some are cheap, some are smart, some aren't. So how do I know which ones work better or worse? And now I've got this thing out in the world and it's working. How do I know that it keeps working? Can I check in on it? Do I know what it's doing? Okay? This is how evaluations work for AI. This is how the things we sort of naturally know how to do with humans, this is how this gets done with AI models. All right, I'll show you what it looks like. So, all right, before you feel overwhelmed. All right, this is the workflow we just looked at. Okay? Now there's a couple other little squares on there, all right, but this is the simple one right here. The other thing that's in here is the evaluation pattern, which is here. So how this works is I've created a data set that has some sample data in it where I've told it how I expect it to work. Okay? So for this first row, like here's the score, here's the feedback, I expect you to put it in this category and I expect it to get this MPS score, or this MPS bucket, all right? So you create this data set. It's kind of like the test data that it's going to use. And all this is in Google Sheets, by the way. It just kind of hooks up to Google Sheets and it's very simple to use. All right? And so then what I can do is I can run the model, I can run this evaluation step, and it's going to look at each 5 of these sample records, and it's going to tell me how we did. All right? And so you see here, did it get the right category? Yes, 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 no, yes. Did it get the right MPS? Yes, yes, no, no, yes. All right, you kind of see what it's doing here? So you can write lots more tests, right? You can provide lots more different types of metrics for it to evaluate on. This is a very simple example, all right? And then what you can do is you can do that same thing over time. Oh no, I put this one behind it. Oh no, okay. No problem. Sorry about that. What this graph looks like is going to be a graph over time, right? So here's the first run I did. I got 80% on this one metric. Let me go change the model. I don't want to use the OpenAI model. Let's see what the Anthropic model does. And I can run it again. Oh, we only got 60%, okay? So it lets you keep trying different things. Or maybe it only got 80% and you're like, wow, the instructions weren't clear enough. Let me go write better instructions. Let's try it again. So what you're able to do is keep track of how it's performing over time, all right? There aren't a lot of tools out there that let you do this easily, right? This is the kind of thing that software developers are having to sort of roll your own kind of stuff here. But this tool lets you do it pretty easily. When I work with leaders on this kind of stuff, there's a lot of anxiety around these kind of tools, around do they work and how do I know they keep working? You know, they change the models. It's like the same model name, but they've changed some functionality about it. Does it still work the way it used to? Oh my gosh, they just got rid of a model. Like, does it work with this other model? Right, so this is a framework that allows you to easily handle those questions, okay? I'm sorry I fumbled that slide, all right? All right. So AI agents are here, but they're still pretty immature, all right? I would think of like, I think AOL just got rid of dial-up last week. Did y'all see that? Was anybody affected by that? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't zero. I mean, there was somebody out there who was like, you know, like. But this is like we're kind of at the dial-up phase right now with some of these things. You could still get on the internet. It was great. I mean, it was still useful. But I do think that's where we are. I think the main difference is, you know, it took probably from 1993, it probably took another 10 years before a lot of people were in a high-speed internet. You had DSL or something. You were in a little like. This is not going to take 10 years to get good. All right, it's going to take like 10 months. Okay. The trend lines show us this. You know, we're moving very quickly in a direction where the time horizons that these things can work are getting much, much longer. We weren't sure we were going to be able to deal with the hallucination rates effectively. It seems they're making an enormous amount of progress there. So these things are going to make fewer mistakes. They're going to be able to work over longer periods of time. And I would just communicate to you that I think learning to build or use or manage these types of systems is really important right now. If you've been using ChatGPT or one of those tools for the last couple years and you feel like you have a certain level of competency there, this would be a great next thing to work on. Okay, and it doesn't have to be N8N. There are lots of other tools kind of in this space. I just wanted to show you one that's popular now. But these are the kinds of things that will be competing with knowledge workers for jobs in the next few years. All right? If you understand how they work, if you can participate in that, I think that would be good for you. Okay? N8N is a great place to start. I will say it's not a highly technical tool, but if technical's over here, it's like one step in this direction. Okay? If you get into N8N and you're like, nah, this is a little more than what I signed up for, okay? Zapier is a good place to fall back to. Okay, it's a little more intuitive. It's designed for non-engineers. It still has a lot of the capabilities to hook up to AI models and get things done. Okay, it's a lot harder to set up evaluations and some of the other stuff I just showed you. But if you just need a place to start and this is too much, Zapier is what I would recommend. If you're in a system already, like if you're in a HubSpot or if you're in a Salesforce, Airtable, lots of these systems now have automation tools. So that may be another place to start. If your company already has one of those systems, there are really good automation tools within them that hook up to AI and do all that. So that might be another natural place for you to go. Because then you're not talking about a new tool. It's like a tool you already have, right? So that would be my recommendation. I will say understanding how the evaluation piece works and how to set it up and how to communicate with someone who owns a process about how that works and how we've looked at different models and here's how it tracks over time. Here's what we can do to improve that is a big, big deal. People are not going to use this stuff unless they trust it. Okay? And with all the sort of the froth and all the models changing and what some of these things cost, this is a big piece of trust. Okay? You'll hear us say this a lot if you come to this meeting regularly. We want this to be something that happens for you, not to you. If you haven't picked up on this during this talk, this is one of those things where we think if you can start figuring this out, this is a way for this to be true for you. Okay? So last month we introduced the idea of a monthly challenge. And I want to thank everybody who participated in last month's. This month, we really just want you to take it on yourself to try to build one of these or figure out how to use one, right? And just keep in the back of your mind what an AI agent is and start to notice when you're interacting with those systems. If you're using GPT-5 and it's doing thinking, you know, the reasoning model, that's an agentic system, right? You're asking a question, that's sort of the goal to solve that question. Well, let me go figure out how I'm going to solve it. That's the thinking that's going on, right? It's going and trying to solve it. It's looking at its answer. The tools, it has access to a browser. It has access to some other things. It can code, okay? So even the basic ChatGPT models that we're using now are agentic systems, okay? We just don't have a lot of control over how that works. And N8N and some of these other tools are really more a way for you to customize those processes to the things you care about. Okay. Just show of hands, like who's up for this? All right, you're locked in, you're committed now. All right, yeah, huge mistake, shouldn't have done that. All right, great. So you'll get this you don't need to take a picture of this, you'll get this in an email. So N8N, Open Router. One thing that most people in here probably have not done, who here has like gone into the back of ChatGPT, like in the developer section, and gotten an API key before? Okay, so nobody, right? But so this will be something new for you, right? There's a whole other set of screens in ChatGPT which you have not seen before. So to set up like what I did here, you need to use the OpenAI API. You need to use the Anthropic API. It's pretty straightforward to do, but it will be new, okay? So I just point you in the right direction there. Here's Zapier if that feels better. And if you're a little more on the technical side, Claude Code is an agent that a lot of developers use. Is it fair to say this is like the preferred? Yes. Yeah. Strong yes from Will. This is like a whole other agentic experience, which I'm not a developer, but I set it up last week and started playing around with it. People are using this to do non-developer things because it is a very powerful agent. But it feels like using a computer in like 1990 in the sense that you're like on the command line typing in information, right? Do this thing, do that thing. So it's not a nice pointy clicky interface, but it's extremely interesting to work with. And so if you're a little more on the technical side, that would be worth checking out.
You can use the IDE.
You can do what?
You can bring them into the IDE.
Yeah. Yes, but most people don't know what those words mean. Yeah. He just said you could just bring it into your IDE in the terminal. So, yeah, what's up, Robert?
Real quick, can you use a custom GPT instead of like when you choose the model?
When you choose them, no, you can't use a custom GPT. If you've built out like a custom assistant in like the OpenAI developers portal, you could use that. Again, those are words that most people, just pretend I didn't say that. That's what I would say. Okay, all right, cool. So that's the agent talk, okay, just real quick. That is one of those talks that I just showed you the tip of the iceberg. My initial thought for doing this was I'm going to demo a bunch of things, and I spent the last month researching this, and I'm like, okay, there are 100 extremely high-quality, hour-long-ish, hands-on in the details demos of N8N, okay? I don't need to get up here and do that for you. There are lots of people putting together content like that that are more like me, where I'm like, not super technical, teach me how to do it. Like the internet is full of this stuff right now. And I say it's full of it, like there could be like a bunch of bad stuff out there. Most of it is surprisingly extremely high quality, okay? So if you just go on YouTube and you're like N8N tutorial, you're probably gonna find something that's quite good, all right? So that's that talk. Before we close it out, I wanted to spend a few minutes and talk about this group. For probably the first 18 months we did this, we'd start every meeting. We'd probably spend 10 minutes talking about why we're doing this, like what we're all about. And we don't do that as much anymore. And so I wanted to spend a minute on it. I'm doing this because I was talking to a friend last week, and I was describing what I thought the mission was here, more beyond just the typical talking points we had. And he said, oh, I've never heard you describe it like that. And then I realized there was a bunch of stuff in my head that hadn't made it out in the world, okay? So Will and I put this together because we were curious about these tools. We had lunch one day, we were just getting to know each other, we started talking about ChatGPT. This is like the beginning of 2023, all right? Some of y'all have heard me say this, but I'll just repeat it. We realized our wives were tired of hearing us talk about this. And we thought other people's partners might feel that way too, okay? That is how this started, okay? It's a joke I've told many times, but it's still true, okay? So we put the first Eventbrite up and 70 people showed up that first time. We thought that was pretty cool. We asked who was using ChatGPT, or like who had an interesting use case, and nobody raised their hand. Like, nobody had really used it. We were just all in there like, oh, this could be really interesting, all right? So over the last couple weeks, I've had a couple other conversations where people have asked me, am I a pro AI person? And this actually isn't a very simple question for me. You see in the way we frame up some of how we talk about it that we realize that there are a lot of risks here, right? We want AI to be a net job creator. Okay, well, we don't want AI to be something that destroys more jobs than it creates. We want AI to happen for you, not to you. We don't want it to happen to you, okay? So our sense in putting this community together is we would like to stand up here and bring important topics to the community and try to give you a framework for forming your own opinion on things, okay? That's what's most important. So we've done talks this year on what is artificial general intelligence, what are agents, things like this. And there's a huge range of opinions about, is this stuff good, is it bad, okay? And I don't want, because I don't see myself in the organization this way, I don't want to be seen as someone who is just naively, totally positive about these things. All right? If we felt that way, we probably wouldn't be doing this. What we want is to help people be prepared for what might happen. Okay? And so that's the idea. So this is a community meetup. It's for y'all. And a great thing that William is doing, where are you? Hi. Is he just has more bandwidth to listen, right? And so when you're in this room, if there are things you want to hear about or you want to know more about, please raise your voice, right? Send him an email, all of that. We're starting a finance group because a bunch of people asked us to do that. We thought it's a great idea. Same thing with the nonprofit thing. So there's so many opportunities now for us to find the things that we care about, right, and create other opportunities to go deeper into them. All right? We think that's a big change that we can help with. All right? So that's all I really wanted to say. I am generally optimistic about the role of technology in society because I see technology as something that reduces scarcity. Sam Altman had this funny comment in his last blog post where he said, farmers in the 19th century would think all the jobs we had are fake jobs. Right? Like, you're a customer success representative? Like, y'all already have a lot of food. Like, what are you doing? Right? You're a mobile app developer? No, you guys have food. You should just be relaxing, right? And it's a funny comment because it's true, but we're sort of living through that same time now. And so technology has reduced a lot of scarcity in society, and it will reduce a lot of scarcity in this round as well, okay? The results of that will be uneven. Some people will benefit from that, other people will not. And so that's really what we're here for, right? Is to try to make that a level playing field, okay, for our city, okay? That's all I got. I'm going to hand it over to William to close it out. Thank you all so much for being here. This is my favorite day of the month, every month. So thank you all.
Well, thanks everyone. Really appreciate you all being here and being a part of what we've built and what we're building here in Birmingham. To give you an idea of the things that we're focused on, kind of building off of what Austin said, there's 4 things. We talk about it every meeting, but we're trying to go from this 250-person meetup to 2,500. Now, we're not all going to be in here, so don't worry about that. But these breakouts, right, that we're doing, and we want to take this into other communities, right, places where people can't come to the depot at noon on a Wednesday. So that's one of our key pillars. The second is we're building partnerships with these AI labs. For example, we're going to be doing something with OpenAI, and they're going to be coming here bringing resources into the city. So we're reaching out, working with these companies in conversations with NVIDIA. So if you have any connections to these labs, I would love to talk to you so that we can bring those resources here to our communities. The third is developing sustainable revenue stream. We are a nonprofit, a 501c3, and we want to operate like a startup so that we can use this technology to help further things. So that means providing valuable services back to our community, to corporate members, to individual members. So we've got some membership that's going to be rolling out. So if you are interested in that, the first thing we're rolling out is a corporate membership. And we do have only a few slots for that. So if you would like to be a founding member of that, please let us know. But we're going to be rolling out different services. And if you have ideas on how we could do this better, what you need, that's what we're looking to solve. And then the last thing is we want to have this authentic community, right? We want to have good vibes, right? So this is the vibes slide. to attract talent, retain talent, and grow the talent that we have here in Birmingham, because we all live here because we know it's a great place to be, work, live, play, worship. So we want to grow that community. So those are the things that we're working on. And the last thing, again, is please make sure to register for our upcoming meetups. Otherwise, that's all we've got. And thank you all so much for being here. My email, really quickly. Thank you. If anybody does want to reach out to me, wglass@birminghamai.org. There was an error on the last slide last month that said .com. We are .org. So wglass@birminghamai.org. Would love to talk to you, grab coffee, lunch, understand how we can better serve. So thank you all. Appreciate it.